Okay, so let's jump right in. We live in a world where we're absolutely drowning in data, right? But getting actual clarity, that's a whole other story. So today, we're going to look at a system that's designed to do just that, to cut through all the static and give you the one thing that actually matters, insight without all the noise.
And this really is the fundamental question, isn't it? I mean, think about your world. Whether you're vetting a new business partner, you're looking at an acquisition, or you're just trying to manage some kind of critical risk, the consequences of making the wrong call because you had bad information, well, they can be massive, irreversible even.
So that begs the question, why are the tools that we've been leaning on for years, for decades even, suddenly just not cutting it? Well, we're in a totally new era of things like synthetic identities and crazy cross-border complexity. And frankly, the old ways, they're just breaking down. Let's take a look at that disconnect.
I mean, here it is, plain as day. On one side, you've got the old way of doing things. Slow, manual research that spits out a static report from a bunch of different siloed sources. And on the other side, you've got today's reality, relationships that move at the speed of light, real ambiguity about who you're even dealing with, and now, even AI-generated content that's literally designed to trick you. It really is like trying to navigate a highway using a map from last year. It just doesn't work.
And this gets us to the heart of the matter. The problem itself has changed. It's not just about finding information anymore. Any search engine can retrieve information. The real game now is intelligence reasoning. It's about connecting all those scattered, seemingly random dots to actually see the big picture.
So this requires a totally different approach. We're not talking about another tool that just drops a mountain of files on your desk and says, good luck. We're talking about a completely new kind of engine, one that's built from the ground up for intelligence, not just for information.
And this is the key idea right here, a computational reasoning engine. Now, what does that mean? Well, instead of looking at an investigation like some static checklist, this system treats it like an evolving map, a dynamic graph. Every single person, every company, every potential risk is modeled as a living object that literally updates in real time as new information comes in. This isn't just a small feature, it's a completely different way of seeing the world.
And let's be super clear about this. This is not another search engine. It is not a simple one-time background check. What this is intelligence in motion. It's a system that's constantly adapting and learning as the world around it changes.
So how does this engine actually work? How does it take all that messy, fragmented data and turn it into something structured and clear? Well, it follows a really logical step-by-step process. So it follows this really disciplined four-step path. First, it pulls in signals from all over the place, documents, public records, you name it. Then, and this is crucial, it correlates them to build context. After that, it starts to identify the anomalies, the weird patterns or inconsistencies that a human being would almost certainly miss. And finally, it brings that insight to you in a way that's actually clear and usable.
Now, this whole transformation from just dumping data on you to providing structured intelligence, it's really powered by three core capabilities. Let's walk through each one.
All right, first up is something called entity resolution. This solves that fundamental problem of, well, who is who? How do you know for sure that the J. Smith in some court filing is the exact same John Smith in the contract you're about to sign? The system uses something called probabilistic matching. It analyzes dozens of different data points like locations, known associates, timelines to figure out the likelihood that two records are talking about the very same person. It gives you ground truth where before you just had a nagging uncertainty.
The second big capability is this living graph. Now, a normal static report might tell you your new partner looks clean, but the living graph, it shows you the hidden connections. It can see that they share a board seat with a sanctioned person, but through a totally separate shell company, a critical what we call second-order risk that you would have completely missed otherwise.
And third, the system understands that risk isn't static, it's dynamic. A business partner who looks totally safe today could be caught up in some messy litigation tomorrow. The system gets that. So, when new, negative information pops up anywhere, their risk profile updates instantly and boom, you get an alert. Your due diligence is no longer just a snapshot in time, it's a living, breathing process. Okay, now for anybody who's a little bit wary of handing over the keys to an AI, this next point is absolutely crucial. This whole system is designed from the very beginning to empower human judgment, not to replace it.
So let's be really clear about what this system isn't. It is not a law enforcement tool. It's not a surveillance platform, and it's definitely not a replacement for your professional judgment. The human expert, that's you, is always in the driver's seat. You always make the final call.
This quote really captures the entire philosophy here. It is designed to improve clarity, not to assert control. Think of it like an intelligence co-pilot. It's organizing all the messy information, it's highlighting the hidden patterns, and it's surfacing the critical signals so that your own judgment is sharper and way better informed.
And look, for anyone who's ever felt completely buried by complicated software, this is key. The interface itself is designed to reduce noise, not add to it. It's meant to be a calm, factual assistant that gives you clean, structured summaries, not some chaotic cockpit full of flashing lights and raw data feeds.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. This isn't just about solving today's due diligence headaches. It's about building an entirely new foundation for how we establish trust.
The ultimate vision here is to build a new kind of trust infrastructure. Just imagine a world where risk becomes visible long before it has a chance to blow up into a full-blown crisis, all because the system is just quietly and continuously vigilant in the background.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about solving the problem that's right in front of you. It's about anticipating the consequences down the road. Because every single decision we make with incomplete information creates risk for the future. And this system is built to tackle that fundamental truth head-on.
So we'll just leave you with that thought. In those moments where you absolutely, positively cannot afford to be wrong, what is the real value of structured, reliable, actionable intelligence? It's definitely a question worth thinking about. Thanks for tuning in.